when you're trying to dispute the weird girl allegations, but someone brings up Shakespeare. That's literally me. Hi guys! I'm so surprised. This is my natural hair. But yeah, we're gonna get that out of the way. My hair looks like ramen noodles. A boy who bullied me in elementary school told me my hair looked like ramen noodles. Well, that was the beginning of the end, wasn't it? So today, we are going to talk about my February reading wrap-up. It's actually been an insanely productive reading month for me this month. I think that is largely due to my Kindle that I got at the beginning of the month. I read 3 books this month just on my Kindle. And right now, I'm reading a play by John Dryden. I'm a theater kid at heart, okay? I'm a theater kid at heart, and that's just how it is. So in February, I read 8 books this month. That's actually crazy. I want to preface this by saying I live a very boring life right now. It's the calm before the storm in my life. So I don't want you to, look at me and be like, oh my God, I should be reading like 8 books a month. No, you shouldn't. If you want to, great. If you have the time, great. I have a full-time job. It's like I wake up early and I work, and then I literally spend the rest of my day after work just reading. On the weekends I read because I don't go out or do anything. So I'm starting to sound a bit like a loser. And surprise, I am. I'm just kind of at the weird purgatory time in my life, like right before I moved to London. So I don't have anything to do but read. So that's why I have the ability to read so much. Also, if you're new here, hello, my name is Livy. I make bookish videos and I'm so excited for you to be here. If you're not new, welcome back, my sexy friends. And you will only be referred to as sexy friend if you're subscribed. So if you're not subscribed, then sexy friend did not apply to you. So, right smack at the end of January, I finished the Throne of Glass series. I've talked about enough. I talked about Kingdom of Ash in my last video, and it was amazing, but I needed just a little filler book, a palate cleanser to rid me of the pain and suffering which I still was feeling, and just, to get me through onto the next stage of reading. So I was in the bookstore walking around, and I came across this little dude, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. It was really cute. I don't really know what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting an insane plot where I would be forever changed. It was just a cute, simple, quite sad, actually, now that I'm remembering it. It's about this cafe in Tokyo, Japan, where if you sit at a certain table in this cafe, then you can go back in time. I don't know what I was expecting, but I kind of wasn't expecting what it was. It was very sad. So it was almost like it put me deeper into my Kingdom of Ash depression. It was almost like, okay, this is great. I can, come out the other side of this. I'll have this nice little cute story to get me out. No, I actually came out of it more depressed and thinking about all my past decisions that I regret. So thank you so much, Toshikawa Kawaguchi. Thanks. This was a 3-star for me. Yeah, it was I'd recommend it if you just want a cute little easy read. It's super short. I wasn't gagged. It didn't take me to Gag City. If you're not familiar with that, Gag City basically means I wasn't gagged. If you watch RuPaul's Drag Race, you understand. If you don't, that's your problem, first of all. Second of all, it just means I wasn't oh my God, this is amazing. It didn't take me to Gag City. So it didn't take me to Gag City. The next book I read in February was One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I really, really, really enjoyed this book. I did a buddy read with my friend Luce with this book. It was super entertaining, quite fast-paced. The romance in it is so cute. It's definitely more, I don't want to say innocent than the other books. Well, it's way more innocent than the other books I read in this month. It follows the story of Elspeth Spindle, who lives in this world where having magic is frowned upon, and the king has tried to annihilate anybody with magic blood in their veins. And then she ends up meeting the captain of the guard, and they strike up a little deal, and it's really fun, and I really enjoyed this book. It's kind of a quite dark setting. It's very much like a dark fairy tale, so if that's what you're into, this book will deliver. I haven't read Two Twisted Crowns, the second one in this duology. I believe it's a duology, but I have it on my Kindle, and I think I'm gonna try and read it this month. Raven, who is the captain of the guard, he is yummy. He's yummy. This one was a 4 stars, yeah. I think I said the only thing that I didn't like about it was the main character, Elspeth. She has magic, which is kind of referred to as like an infection. She doesn't really talk about herself much other than that. Like, you don't really know as much about her other than the fact that she is infected with magic, which is like the only thing she talks about. But other than that, fabulous. Definitely would recommend One Dark Window. House of Flame and Shadow by sarahjmaas. J-Maas. This was like one of my most, as it was everyone's, anticipated reads of this year. I personally liked this one a lot more than House of Sky and Breath. I felt like it made more sense. I felt like the development of the characters was really awesome, and like you were rooting for them. However, the only thing is, I was definitely more interested in side characters' plots than Bryce. I think I've briefly touched on this before. I don't like Bryce, to put it plainly. I'm not a Bryce stan. Bryce doesn't belong in Gag City. I find her to be quite rude and quite sociopathic. I just don't like her. In my Book Girlies group chat, I literally said Bryce reminds me of the girl that bullied me in high school. So that kind of put a damper on things, but thankfully in this book, like, Bryce was honestly not even like, I wouldn't even consider her to be like the main character. She was quite secondary in a lot of ways. I just personally found this story was way more captivating. I was super into it. Like, I was flipping the pages. I don't know if like this one or the first one would be my favorite in the series. I'm kind of leaning toward this one being my favorite in the series. Just love the side characters so much, and they're the majority of this book. There was a lot of really cool connections with, not gonna say it. You know, if you've read it, you know. It took me halfway to Gag City. I was halfway to Gag City. I was hitchhiking, and then I got off the side of the highway, and I was halfway to Gag City, but then the car broke down, and I was waving my hand looking for someone to take me the rest of the way to Gag City, and no one did. But it took me halfway to Gag City. I think Crescent City just isn't my favorite Sarah J. Maas series. I gave this a 4 stars. Yeah. Yep. Halfway to Gag City. Oh. So the next few books I read on my beautiful, lovely, trusty, amazing Kindle. This takes me to Gag City and more, and past. Sorry, I fully thought someone just broke into my house. I did a little dark romance video previously. I did go ahead and read Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Now, I started it, and I think I said this before in my other video, I got 2% in and I said, no, not for me. Didn't like the writing. Thought the writing was quite not good. Then I said, you know what, Olivia, don't. Subconscious, predetermined hatred for the book that you just need to get over. Don't listen to other people's opinions. Formulate your own. Be a grown-up. Okay, so I said, okay, fine. So I kept reading. Like I said before, I learned things about myself that I previously had not known. That I need a man who is tall, dark, handsome, who has that different eye color thing. And hydrochromia. That's not it. With a scar, a man with a face scar, who also stalks me. And has no reserve or resignation in completely disregarding my boundaries. I really liked it. I had such a fun time. I'm just gonna say it. I thought Zaid was so hot and sexy. That is, I realized that's a red flag, okay? Okay. Make sure you read the trigger warnings. Make sure you read the trigger warnings before you read it. The only thing I think for me was that There were definitely some parts in it that like took me out of the story because the writing just was kind of like, who would ever say that? Who would ever say that? Especially in a vulnerable state. My review on Fable, follow me on Fable, is as follows. Basically, this book showed me that I need to seek Jesus. However, I had a time and a half, LMAO. I may be sick in the head, but boy oh boy, I couldn't put it down. 3.5 stars. Then, because I became obsessed and I tend to hyperfixate on things, I was hyperfixating so violently on it, and I was like, I need a scary, terrifying man. I immediately got Hunting Adeline. Dropped my phone. I immediately got Hunting Adeline. Now this one was a lot more scary. Terrible, horrible things happen to our main character, Adeline. So the first half of Hunting Adeline was horrific in the sense that the things that she has to endure, and we get to read it in great detail, are horrific. So the things that Zaid does to certain people that we read in great detail is also horrific. First half of the second book was tough, but the second half, come on girl. The second half was so good. Addie kind of becomes a badass and can stand up for herself now and all this stuff. I loved it, I ate it up. I think I gave it the same rating, 3.5 stars. On Fable again. Definitely check the trigger warnings. First half was tough to get through, but the second half, someone better lock me up with this emoji. I'm sick, but I lived for it, and I'll do it again. And I said that, and I stand by what I said. Oh, accidentally turned on my Kindle, where I'm reading a play called All for Love by John Dryden. All my theater girlies, let me know if you've read this play. Beautiful, Antony Cleopatra vibes. When you're trying to dispute the weird girl allegations, but someone brings up Shakespeare. That's literally me. The next book I read was also on my Kindle. I read The Ritual, Chantal Tessier. In the same vein as Haunting Adeline, the writing just wasn't like my super style. I, from the beginning, was hooked. It's super fast paced. Riot Archer is so hot. It was the perfect thing to get me over Zaid Meadows. Still have a playlist on my phone called Zaid Meadows. And I almost made one called Riot Archer, but it would be the same songs because they're essentially the same person. Dark Romance is essentially the same guy in a different font. This college in the States that has this secret society called the Lords, where all these young boys basically just become murderers and are sworn to secrecy. And if they make it to 4th year, they get to pick a chosen one, which is a girl who just becomes their slave. It's about Riot Archer and his chosen one named Blakely Anderson, I think. And it's their love story, or whatever you call that. I don't really know what you could call that. Super entertaining, super fast-paced. I think I literally read the book in a day and a half. Like, I was obsessed. Same as Hunting Adeline, 3.5 stars. As much as a good plot and a sexy main man is like, that takes me to Gag City, the writing is the flat tire in my van taking me to Gag City. You know what I mean? The writing is like, and you're like, oh, and you're trying to drive, but it's not letting you, and then you kind of slow down because the tire is the bad writing. By that's just a roundabout way of me saying I'd be like so into it, and then something like they would say like just the most Gen Z sentence or millennial sentence, and I would just be like, oh. And they would just take me right out of it. The next book I read, Fable Book Club's pick of the month, that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This was my first Ali Hazelwood book. I know that this is her first kind of romantasy book. They live in our world. There are vampires and werewolves, but they live in our human world in like the 21st century. This was really cute. Like, it wasn't, you know, the most incredible, life-changing, fantastical adventure romance that I love so much, but it was so cute. And Lo, okay, is his name pronounced Lo or Lao? I'm gonna say Lo. I'm gonna say Lo for the sake of this video. If it's Lao, that's fine. I'm gonna say Lo. He had me literally giggling and kicking my feet. Lo is Drew Starkey with a buzz cut. That's how I picture him in my head. If Drew Starkey like dyed his hair a darker brown and buzzed it, that would be low. Basically, this story is about a vampire named Misery Lark who gets volunteered by her father to marry this werewolf to establish a truce between the vampires and the werewolves. If you're a sucker for like, don't touch my wife.
Like, watch how you speak to my wife.
This right here, babe. A very nicely placed my wife changes everything. I loved Misery, the main character. She's witty, she's funny, she's super smart, she's a woman in STEM. It was kind of just like the whole time I was reading it, I was like, this is so fun. You know what I mean? So I gave this one a 4 stars. I would definitely recommend it. A really, really good book. And the last book I read this month, which I literally finished last night, is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. Flop. Babe, it was a flop. It was a flop for me. I have said before how I am not a contemporary romance person to begin with. You add in like billionaires, hate them already. I don't know. It's very fast. It's a very fast read. Like, it's like, I got literally like over halfway through the first night. So if you love billionaire romances and it's like you want a cute, fast-paced book, sure. I just couldn't get into it at all. I felt like the dialogue was really fake. I was just like, this would never, you would never have a conversation like this.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. Haha, you're so handsome.
And then he'd be like,
You are so beautiful.
and you're just like, hey, are you a android? Are you a robot actually? It's like they talked like if aliens came down to Earth and were trying to act like humans.
Human, speak English. Yes, hello, how are you?
Like, it was like so robotic. I did not feel the chemistry between them at all. I didn't feel the chemistry. And also the main girl, Zara, like, she just pissed me off. Supposed to be like very grumpy sunshine dynamic. She's very much like, I'm so quirky and clumsy and oh, I'm falling and oh, blah. Like, I hate that. She's super pick me. I didn't gag for it. It took me actually farther away from Gag City, this one. I gave this one a whopping 2 stars. It wasn't like glaringly terrible when I was reading it. Like, you can read it and have a good time. I just didn't care. You know when you read a book and you're just like, oh my god, I don't care at all. I don't care what happens to either of you. Ended February on kind of a disappointing note, but that's fine. I think it's also just because I don't like contemporary romance that much. Alright guys, so those are all of the books I read in February. Let me know if you read any of these books and what your thoughts on them were. I have quite a few books that I need to get through before I go to London. I keep going to buy books and I'm like in a race against time to finish all of them. I leave in literally 2 weeks. In 2 weeks I'm in London. That is the video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Love all of you so much. I wish you a fabulous day, a fabulous week, a fabulous life. Can't wait to talk to you next week, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Okay,